Lakers can't think they're going to get him. I just find that hard to believe that he would want to go to that shit show where he would not even be.
So I have a very interesting piece of news for you guys today, because it's very rare that we ever see what goes on behind the scenes in these NBA free agency recruiting pitches. Yeah, sure, we all remember when the Los Angeles Clippers famously locked DeAndre Jordan in his own house with the owner of the Clippers there and Doc Rivers there, and pretty much forced him to sign with the Los Angeles Clippers over the Dallas Mavericks. I don't think any story will ever trample over that. I think that's probably the greatest free agency recruiting story of all time. But we have another piece of interesting information here for you guys today. So before we get to the content, I just wanted to let you guys know I'm giving away an Xbox Series X on this channel to anyone that's subscribed and turned on our notifications. Whether you're an old subscriber or a new subscriber, if you sub and turn on our notifications, you have entered for a chance to win an Xbox Series X. If you want additional entries, just follow us on Twitter or Instagram. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Guys, I have to take you back to 1 year ago. Well, it's not necessarily a year ago, although it feels like a year ago because we're just coming off of another offseason. It's technically 18 months ago. The Los Angeles Clippers are coming off of a season where they have just provided Clippers fans with the strangest amount of hope that they've ever received. You see, just a few years after moving away from Chris Paul and a year after trading away their franchise cornerstone Blake Griffin, somehow, someway, the Los Angeles Clippers were able to take the Golden State Warriors to their limits in the first round of the NBA playoffs. Now, granted, they did lose, but the core of Montrezl Harrell, Danilo Gallinari, Lou Williams, and Patrick Beverley seemed to be the ideal supporting cast to any star player that would want to come and play with the Los Angeles Clippers. Meanwhile, on the eastern side of the NBA, Kawhi Leonard was dealing with his own situation. You see, after literally being shipped away to Toronto as what some deemed to be a punishment for Kawhi Leonard after him and Greg Popovich not getting along, Kawhi Leonard was on the cusp of bringing the Toronto Raptors their very first NBA championship in franchise history. Now, the question surrounding Kawhi Leonard following these events was, where is Kawhi Leonard going to go?
We fun guy.
What's tomorrow?
Fun guy, what's up, baby?
What it do, baby?
Yeah, you already know.
This is
Yeah.
Will he try to run it back with the Toronto Raptors, where he is clearly on the team to beat in Toronto with Serge Ibaka, the newly broken out Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry, and the brand new established head coach Nick Nurse? Or is he going to leave and stay true to his word? He always wanted to return home and play for Los Angeles, but he never specified which Los Angeles team he wanted to play for. At the time, the Los Angeles Lakers are coming off of an offseason where they missed the playoffs. This is the first time LeBron James has missed the playoffs since, I believe, 2006. But Laker fans nevertheless are extremely excited as they have successfully traded for Anthony Davis at this point, and the Lakers have just the right amount of cap space freed up in order to sign another star player or to fill out the rest of their roster with role players. And the entire decision hinged upon Kawhi Leonard's shoulders. You see, the Clippers were absolutely desperate for a culture shift, so they brought over an advisor that has had a huge hand in multiple franchises completely turning over their culture and establishing themselves. Jerry West was coming off of a tenure that featured being a very important advisor to the Los Angeles Lakers back in the mid-90s, which resulted in them pairing Kobe Bryant with Shaquille O'Neal, which resulted in a three-peat and 4 NBA Finals appearances. But afterwards, he went on to Memphis. He had some type of success there, establishing the grit and grind era. And then he went to the Golden State Warriors. If you see an individual being a part of multiple franchises that were somewhat obscure, that catapulted into relevance, and he was on the board each and every time, well, you're going to bring Jerry West along. Now, at the time, Jerry West has already made some aggressive decisions, suggesting to move on from Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. But Jerry West also understood that this is the greatest free agency class that they're going to have for a while, up until the 2021 free agency class. The Clippers had momentum. They had a fantastic supporting cast. They just needed a star player. Well, just 24 hours ago, a report came out of nowhere that the NBA is investigating the Los Angeles Clippers over how they recruited Kawhi Leonard. This is as a result of an individual by the name of Johnny Wilkes who filed a lawsuit against Jerry West, who has an executive role with the Clippers, alleging that he was supposed to be paid $2.5 million for helping push Kawhi Leonard towards the NBA franchise. In this investigation, Wilkes says that in the lawsuit, he immediately went to work and began convincing Kawhi and Kawhi's uncle that the Clippers were the right team for him after he had just became a free agent after winning a championship with the Toronto Raptors. Wilkes says that he told Jerry West and the Los Angeles Clippers they needed to get Paul George first and foremost to hook Kawhi Leonard. He then says he helped connect Jerry West with Kawhi's uncle. Wilk also claims in the lawsuit he gave West a specific game plan for how the Clippers should pitch Kawhi Leonard during an important meeting with Jerry West, Kawhi Leonard, Doc Rivers, and others in July of 2019. Now, to this, Jerry West responded that he is not aware of any lawsuit being filed against him, and I deny engaging in any improper conduct in connection with the signing of Kawhi Leonard. Now, it's important to notice that this isn't the very first time that the NBA has looked into the way that Kawhi Leonard was signed by the Clippers, because in December of 2019, about a year ago, the league conducted a formal investigation of the Los Angeles Clippers last summer after complaints surfaced that Kawhi Leonard's uncle had asked for improper benefits during the free agency process. Now, among the things that his uncle requested was a house, the on-demand use of a private plane, and an ownership stake in the franchise with which Kawhi Leonard signed.
Hold on a minute, player.
Dennis Robertson, which is Kawhi Leonard's uncle, approached both the Los Angeles Lakers and the Toronto Raptors with his requests, raising questions about how far the Clippers went to get his signature. The NBA didn't find evidence of any wrongdoing at that point, and the Clippers would sign Kawhi Leonard for a 3-year deal worth $103.1 million, and he can opt out after this season. So the last time something this similar happened was in the year 2000, where the Minnesota Timberwolves pretty much tried to pull some shady stunt to sign Joe Smith, which resulted in them losing 5 first-round picks, which is kind of pathetic because, dude, it's Joe Smith. So the question here is to do with tampering, and that's not the only information we got, because according to TMZ, they acquired this voicemail of Jerry West attempting to recruit Kawhi Leonard and even calling his former team that he spent his entire career with. Well, you guys could listen for yourselves.
Excuse me, this is Jerry calling. I really want to thank you a lot for trying to help. I heard this morning that everyone over in the Lakers camp thinks they're going to get him. I find that hard to believe that he would want to go to that shit show where he would not even wouldn't get his name in the paper, and he wouldn't be the face of the franchise, that's for sure. He might be the best player on the team, but I hope things are well, and again, I really, really appreciate everything you've done. I'll keep you apprised of what goes on, but I do want to get together with you privately and love to take you to the dinner and even Sam if he's around, so I can at least pay my respects to you guys for being so generous and helpful. Take care. Talk to you sometime soon. Bye-bye.
So, if you ask me, when I listen to this voicemail, a lot of people are trying to make a big deal out of the fact that Jerry West is calling the Los Angeles Lakers a shit show. But if you go back to 2019, during this point where Kawhi Leonard was entering free agency, yeah, the Lakers were actually what he's saying that they were. You forget that this was the point where Laker fans were literally protesting at how dysfunctional the franchise was. Magic Johnson just stepped down as general manager, and people were making fun of the Lakers for their inability to acquire Anthony Davis in the middle of the season after LeBron James made it absolutely clear that he didn't want to play with the likes of Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball. On top of that, the Lakers just fired Luke Walton, and it was so bad that they were trying to hire Ty Lue and Monty Williams as a head coach, and Ty Lue said no because he felt like he was being underpaid, and Monty Williams chose the Phoenix Suns, which are, by the way, known for having another dysfunctional ownership over the Los Angeles Lakers. So yeah, what Jerry West is saying here is 100% the truth. The Lakers at that point were a shit show. But on top of that, if you listen to what Jerry West is saying, Kawhi Leonard has always wanted to play in Los Angeles. He never said what Los Angeles team, but he's always wanted to play in Los Angeles. He had these big, lofty goals of building a brand based off of his, personality. And let's be honest, man, if he went to the Lakers, and this is no disrespect to Kawhi, I think he's a remarkable player who actually made the right choice for his career, but he would be playing with LeBron James, which is the most marketable player in the NBA, and Anthony Davis, which kind of has established his own brand despite LeBron James being there. But if you ask me in terms of personality, it would go in this order. It would go LeBron James, Anthony Davis, hell, even Kyle Kuzma, and then Kawhi Leonard. He would not be talked about nearly as much. He would have no opportunity to build his brand, and it sure as hell would not be his team. Why would a player that has won multiple championships already, one of them being as a role player of a team and one of them being as the focal point and a leader of a team, try to go down that road again? It doesn't make any sense. So what Jerry West is saying here, and I'm saying this as a Laker fan, is 100% true and makes 100% sense. What I think is happening here is I think Mr. Wilkes is trying to squeeze Jerry West. Because if you listen to the tonality of Jerry West's voice here, it sounds like he's appreciative of a favor that's being done for him, and the guy that's doing this favor for him didn't really specify what he wants in return. Jerry West literally said he's very thankful for what this man has done. He wants to take this individual out to dinner, and it doesn't seem like he understands what this other party wants in return, because if he did, he would say, yeah, we'll work to get you paid as soon as possible. I feel like Jerry West is being squeezed. I don't think he said anything wrong. I don't even know if this violates any anti-tampering rules, because in order for it to violate any rules, this would have had to have some sort of recording date on it. If this individual truly just found out the information that Kawhi Leonard wants to come to the Clippers, but the Clippers need to acquire Paul George first, then that's just inside information. How do you think the Lakers acquired Anthony Davis? Do you think he just happened to decide to hire LeBron James's best friend, who's also an agent, and before he decided to demand a trade to the Lakers? This is how business is done in the NBA. I don't think Jerry West has done anything wrong, and I'm saying this about the rival team here that I'm not a fan of. I think he did what needed to be done to get the Clippers Kawhi Leonard, and I think Kawhi Leonard would have ended up on the Clippers anyway. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Aside from that, I'm your boy, TheFlightMike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.